All right. So I'm hoping that everyone can see. Welcome to the interview with a passionpreneur. I hope we're streaming tonight. It's 7 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm in Toronto, and we are streaming with one of my members from Australia, which is really cool. And we are streaming on LinkedIn, we are streaming on YouTube, and we are streaming on Twitter. So that's new. That's the first time we do that. So let me introduce myself. I'm Claude Furlong. I'm a monetization specialist. And what I do is I help aspiring entrepreneurs to monetize their passions, their skills, their expertise, and I give them a blueprint or a roadmap on how to do that for themselves. And I give them basically a way to build multiple streams of revenue around something that they love. And I do that through my membership, the Passions to Profit membership. Now, in that membership, what I do is I have monthly challenges that I do with my members, and I have a leaderboard, so they get to compete a little bit, and they get a monthly challenge. So every month there's a specific challenge for the whole month, and every week they have a specific theme on the week, and they get to basically come on and do their homework and submit. And when they win, they also, part of the perks of winning is actually getting to be interviewed by me, and then I share it all over my profiles, and it's really cool. Now, the person that we are bringing on tonight, her name is Karen, and how I met Karen is pretty cool. I'm super bad at sales. I suck at sales. That is not my thing. Oh, I have to say, I'm going to say something. I have to say, if you are watching me on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on X, I think Streamyard is going to ask you if you want to comment or engage tonight. It's going to ask you if you agree that Streamyard will let you comment. So you just have to agree, and then you comment, and I will see your comments right there, and we will engage all through the interview. I already have somebody, Mary Ellen. Hi, Mary Ellen. Thanks for being here. Oh, I met Mary Ellen last week, a couple of weeks ago, I think. Thank you for being here tonight. I think you're going to find this very interesting. So let me not digress and be all over the place. So Karen, like I said, I suck at sales. I hate sales. I am not a salesy person. I really believe that there is always something more at play in the universe, and that the people that come to me actually are meant to work with me. I've done this my whole career. I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years now, and I've had 6, 7, 8 businesses, online, offline. And everybody that I've ever worked with has always kind of been sort of a symmetry, a connection of a connection. I've never really had to sell anything. So how I met Karen is that I was scrolling through TikTok, like all of us do all the time. And I came across this video of this beautiful lady, and her video, she was getting into affiliate marketing, and her video was so poignant and was so authentic, and the way that she was speaking really resonated to me. And she was just saying, I'm having a tough time here, and I feel stuck. I'm doing all the right stuff. I've done all the right stuff, but it just feels like I'm stuck. It's something that doesn't feel right. And I had just finished creating this guide that I call the Passions to Profit guide. And I just thought, okay, I had given it to somebody else, and somebody else told me, oh, it gave me such clarity and blah, blah, blah. So I thought, okay, this might help this woman. So I reached out to her and I said, listen, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I've got this guide. Just look at it and see if it's something that's going to help you maybe get unstuck. And that's how we met. And we just connected, and one thing led to another. She came into my membership, and we've been having a ball ever since. So I'm going to be bringing her on now, and I have some questions. We're gonna be talking about her her time in the membership, but she's also going to be talking about her experience as a new online entrepreneur, because she has been an entrepreneur and other things offline, brick and mortar kind of thing, as a designer. But she is starting something. She has begun a journey, something completely new in the blogging world, and we'll talk about that. So if there are bloggers out there, that you're going to find this very interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her on. Please give a warm welcome to Miss Karen.
Hello. Thank you.
Pretend you hear the applause.
Thank you.
Let's do the wave.
Thank you.
So let's see if you see the comments on your end.
I can see Mary Ellen.
All right. So we're good to go then. We're going to start the interview. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for that lovely introduction. And it was true how we met. The value that you provided to me without even knowing me, just by sending me to that document that you created, was so valuable. And I do have to say to anyone that's listening, when someone can provide you with such valuable free advice, it absolutely resonates with you, that then you think, if I'm getting this for free and I join this membership, imagine what I'm going to be getting. And that is exactly what's happened. Like, it is the value has risen, Yeah.
I'm so happy because to me, I created, and I think we were talking about that before, I created that space it's a passion project for me. And it's been my dream my entire life to have a school and to be a teacher and to really, be able to give back all the knowledge I've accumulated years and years. And it's been such a wonderful experience, as for me, as for my members, because I look forward to our sessions. I look forward to seeing, how you've grown that week and what you've accomplished. And now with the challenges, it's just, and the leaderboard. And now I can tell that, all of you are getting really excited and you're getting competitive. And, like when Adam was saying this week, like, oh, I'm getting behind and I really want to go and I need those hours. And so it just
I noticed he's getting behind. Yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun. So
it is.
Right. So I think it's different. I think that's what makes it different. That's what makes it fun, is that it's not a course that you follow. It is basically you come into the membership with an idea, a dream, whatever it is. We customize that dream for you. And then we all help you get to the end of that dream. One week at a time.
True. That is exactly, I couldn't have said it better. That is exactly what you have done. That's what I feel, and I can only imagine that as how everyone feels. And we have our small group, as you know, that is on our call, and you can tell that we all feel the same way, and we are all getting so much out of it.
And I think what I love about it is because it's so different, and everyone is so different, because it keeps me on my toes, because I never know what you guys are going to come to the table with. You're going to ask me questions. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know that, or I know. So it keeps me interested in my own passions of AI and digital marketing. And so I think if it was just a course, and if it was constantly the same thing over and over again, it would bore me as much as it would bore you. And to be honest, in today's world, to capture the attention of people for a long period of time, and that was the big thing for me when I opened it up in January January 1st, 2023 was the first day of this. And I said to myself, if I get to December 31st, 2023, and there's nobody here, I've got my message that this isn't what I was supposed to do.
Right.
But if you can capture the audience, if you can capture someone for that long of a time, and they keep coming back, especially it's 5:30 in the morning in Australia, and you're there. I mean, it's dark out. It's and you still show up. And I've got a guy in the UK that still shows up, and I have in the States, and everybody shows up religiously. So that means the world to me. It shows me that this is real and that I'm making a difference and it's what it's meant to be. And now I can move forward and bring people into our little world, our little nucleus.
Exactly. And it's working for us because we're showing up.
Right?
That's the proof that what you do works and what you do resonates with us because we show up and we do the work, and then we show up the next week for the next call, and then we get our next assignment
milestone,
for the week, or our path that we have to travel to get our homework done to take us to the next spot in our little business that we're starting. So yeah, we show up, it works. 5 o'clock in the morning in winter and it's freezing cold, and that's how I started. That's when I started in July. It was freezing cold. Yeah, it was dark.
And I still can't believe that, like, July, August, September, October, November, December, 5 months you went from, I think, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but it feels like you didn't even want to be next to a computer, to having, your beautiful blog and your writings, and you've been on a podcast. Like, it just feels like from ideation to execution was a pretty short period. And I know everybody says out there overnight success and everybody can do like $10,000 a day, but that's not real and that's not true. But what you've accomplished in those 5 months is pretty incredible in my eyes.
Thank you. But I think it says a lot about the topic. It's not so much, I don't look at it as me personally, I think this topic that I'm bringing to light through a blog, which I know people are talking about, but it's not the everyday people that are talking about it, and that's who it needs to be.
It's not just a passion, it's a purpose. It's turning into a vocation. It's turning into a purpose, right? So let's get into it, actually.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I got a couple questions that I put down that I thought, okay, let me ask that. They sound a little interesting. If you want to get out on the beaten path, you go right ahead. Whoever is watching us, I can't really tell who's there, who's not there, but whoever is watching us, wherever you're watching us, please comment, give us some questions. We'll be super happy to answer them. So I'm going to start here with looking back to when you first started, that day that we were talking about a little earlier. What's the one piece of advice you'd give people out there about entrepreneurship?
I think that if you want to head into entrepreneurship, you know that from there's something different, or you think differently even from a young age. And I have known that in myself, as I'm sure you have known that in yourself your whole life. Even when you're young, you kind of have these different. So I think already that you have this streak or this curiosity or this pull towards entrepreneurship, even if you don't know what that deeply entails once you get into being an entrepreneur. On the deepest level or on the shallowest level, however you jump into it, that's what you want to do. So I would honestly say that if you have that curiosity or that streak running through your veins that you want to do something, I would just do it. Seriously. How long are you going to wait? I have dabbled so much in entrepreneurship my whole life, since I was probably about 9 years of age. And I'm not saying that I've made millions of dollars or anything like that, but the fact that I have pushed my mental capacity and my learning capacity from that age, and most of it I've done myself. And you are the first time I've ever had a mentor, and I have been, whether it's to my own detriment being that stubborn, or if I just thought that I knew everything at a young age, that I have always done this myself. And I think that that's why I've never gotten further. And entrepreneurs know what I'm talking about. Like, we push it, we dabble, and then we realize, if I'm really serious about this and I want to take this further, I need someone to help me do it. And you know who you are if you're an entrepreneur, if you're even got that interest. And I think that if you get to a certain age where you don't have the energy, or you are, let's just face it, too old to devote a lot of your time, you're going to regret it. It's going to be the biggest regret of your life, because entrepreneurship is like a passion, and you really need to dabble in it to see how far you want to take it. Otherwise, you're just going to regret that you never even dipped your toe into the, to the ocean to try to see if it would work.
I think if let's explain a little bit, because for those out there that don't know what entrepreneurship. Oh, hi James Dean, that's my friend.
Oh, hi James Dean.
Yay. If you want to know what it feels like to be an entrepreneur, I'll give you a couple of clues. Number one, when you're working in a job, you feel like you want to control. You don't want to be just an employee. Like the company becomes like yours, and all of a sudden it's like you're telling everybody else what to do, and you're that kind of a person because you're taking seriously what's happening. You're not a punch in, punch out kind of person.
Right.
And you're interested in business, and the functioning of business, the marketing part. You've got all these ideas about different products and different things that you want to do and invent, and you're just out of the mold. You say that you're drawing inside the square. We are drawing outside the square with both hands.
Yes. Do you know, someone said to me one time that it's like, as you say, even if you're a cock-in 9-to-5 worker, a regular worker, someone explained it to me once that you forever have your vision set on the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And within that bigger picture, within those parameters, then you can see systems and what needs doing and how to do better things, or their natural thoughts. And that's what I mean. If you're an entrepreneur, you have, maybe you don't know what it is, but if you have that streak or that thing of
that feeling,
it is a real feeling. I do believe that. And I think you do know. I know some people that have never, ever been interested, or not even not interested, just not ever thought about stepping out of the 9-to-5. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they're not an entrepreneur, because when you have that inside of you, that yearning or that streak or something, that you want to try something or you want to do something.
I know that in my whole life, no matter if I had a job or whether I was 9-to-5 or not, I always had a sideline, or I always had something on the side that I was working on. And
I always had an idea.
Right?
I totally can relate to that.
I couldn't help myself, and I think that's part of it. That's part of about being an entrepreneur. And if I was to start my whole career all over again, and this is my guidance to you guys that are listening. If you are out there and you're thinking to yourself, I want to do X, I don't care what it is, unless you want to be a surgeon, you're going to have to go to school. But unless you want to do something like that, what I would do now, I would go and I would pay someone. I would say, okay, let's say I wanted to be, I don't know, fashion designer. I would call up the best that I could and say, I'm going to pay you for your time. I'm going to follow you around, but I'm going to pay you. I'm going to invest in me by paying in you and just watching you and learning from you. Because I feel like you, I took years and years and years and years and years of absorbing and watching and doing this and doing that and reading and webinars and courses. And I spend literally thousands, like 50, 60, 70, maybe $100,000 worth of my life and my time, when I could have just made a list of the things I wanted to learn, gone to the people that I wanted to learn from and said, here, I'm going to pay you to learn. It would have been so much faster and so much more successful quicker, because you go to someone who's done it. Like, even if you read a book or you take a course, you don't know if that person has done what they're saying they've done.
That's
but
true.
If you go to a coach or you go to someone that you know is a business owner and you know that they've done this and you know they've been successful in that, they're just going to turn around and say, here's my blueprint. Go ahead. This is what I did. You do the same. Go. That's all they're doing. But it's going to save you time and money. So that's my thing to you guys out there.
Do you think that
learn everything together?
But do you think that entrepreneurs what it's kind of like this is me from a young age. You kind of like walk your own path and figure it out, and you don't realize that you actually need someone to take you there. It's not until like being older that I have realized that I actually would prefer someone to show me, someone who knows more than me, who's more knowledgeable, has walked that path. I am happy now to hand myself over to someone like you to guide me there. When I was younger, I would never have done that. I was
me neither, but I think it's
so determined to try and work it out.
It's a determination, but it's also a maturity. We're getting to a point where we have a maturity, and I think as you get older, you understand that the most valuable commodity in the entire universe is time.
Yes.
And you start realizing that there's a lot less time ahead than you had before, and you're not into wasting it, right?
Very, very true.
I think that's where the difference happens. And you start saying, listen, I could take 20 hours of my day and do this, but how about I ask somebody else, a VA, to do it for me for 2 hours, and I'll give them $20. Yes, I'll do that.
Right? Yeah, right.
Right. So it becomes more. That's what I think, because that's what happened to me. Now, when I do, when I have a task or when I do have a project and I want to control everything, because that's what I am. I'm a control freak. Now I'm not like that anymore. It's like, what can I delegate? What can I automate? What can I push out there that I don't need to do? I can control this and this and that. I can control the content. I can control, designing. I can control the development, but I don't need to be in charge of every single little thing. That somebody can take care of better than me.
I'm learning that.
It's hard. Right?
I'm learning that.
It's hard.
The hardest thing I've ever done in my life is ask for help.
I know, but don't you feel good after you do?
Yes. This is a massive learning curve for me to actually trust enough that I can hand over to someone else to help get me to where I want to go. I have never trusted anyone to do that with me before. And I don't know, once again, if that's like that entrepreneurial streak where I am stubborn enough and determined enough that I need to work it out. Otherwise, I'm not a true entrepreneur. If I've got that message mixed up or something, or if I've just, I don't know, maybe I've just always, because I've always kind of thought that people really don't understand me either, like I'm a bit awkward and odd in certain situations and things like that. So, but I'm 54.
We all
I'm more than happy to hand myself over now to someone who knows more than me, and
I love it.
Has more knowledge and is far more wise than me that can help me. Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor to be able to actually direct you. James says, "Oh dear, I'm the same." So he's also an incredible artist and so talented in so many ways. It's not even funny. Like it's shameful how much talent this guy has. He's my friend, but I'm not saying that as my friend. I think he's incredible in marketing. That kind of person who just has these taglines coming out of their heads and they're just marketing things. And he's just amazing, amazing.
Sometimes I think too that having a talent, because I think that I was quite talented at like putting fabrics together and things like that. And sometimes having talent that gets noticed is kind of, this is how I looked at it, is kind of a little bit of a burden when you don't know what to do with it, or you don't know how to take it to the next area or the next stage. I felt like that about my work, my design work, and I succeeded a little bit in that and got a little bit known for my work and credibility. But
tell us about that. I want to know
about.
I want to know about. Let's talk about. I know it's not on here, but I'm very curious because after I met you, I went on your Instagram and I saw those things. And I'm like, oh my God, she's amazingly talented. What's happening? How come she's not doing that? So can you tell us a little bit about your, I guess, brick and mortar, because they're offline life as a designer, and how you got into that? And then we'll move on to the rest. But how did you get into being at Fashion Week and doing that? And what were your designs about? What inspired you to get started in that?
Well, I always wanted to create clothing. Even when I was a kid, it was one of my first jobs that I did, making clothes for my Barbie dolls and for my friends and things like that. I did all of that. I dabbled in all of that. And then, after design school and I got a job and then the most important thing to me was I just wanted to travel. I just wanted to like dump my life and get out of Australia and go see the world, which apparently is what a lot of us do when we get to that age, because we live so far away from everyone else in the world. So we want to get out and see everyone, see what the world has to offer. So I did that and ended up in Japan. And I started dabbling in doing things like markets where I would, because a lot of people were giving me like clothing and things, not for me to wear, but because I started doing the markets and they're giving me like clothing. My mother-in-law's friends and that would give me like Japanese clothing and say, here you go, you can sell this at the markets, it'll give you something to do and things like. So most of it, was kind of like pretty normal clothing. So I would like cut it up and I'd sew things onto it and do that, and I'd take it to the markets and I would sell out like all the time. I would have the same ladies that would come to me and say, oh, what have you got today, what have you been making? And they were all kind of like older ladies and they kind of thought it was a bit of a treat that this foreigner that could speak Japanese was speaking to them and selling stuff to them, because it wasn't we could communicate okay. And then they started giving me kimonos and like really beautiful kimonos, one-off kimonos and family heirlooms that I shouldn't have been given, like they should have gone to. But the younger generation in Japan is like becoming very westernized and kimonos are only worn for special occasions, or if that, sometimes.
You don't see the value that you saw.
Yes. And all I knew was, and this is very true, all I knew was what they needed to be seen. They didn't need to be in a box because they were beautiful. I mean, I even went as far as going back to the World Heritage site where they breed the silkworms so that the silkworm can produce the silk thread that then they spin to make these kimonos. And it's this World Heritage site in Japan that is just amazing. Yeah, that's how involved I got into like these kimonos that I didn't know anything about, all hand sewn, all hand embroidered on looms and everything to this day, like just amazing stuff. So that's how I started. And so then I found myself a machinist and we retailored the kimonos so that they fitted like a normal, you could wear them. Yeah, you could wear them. Not like, because there's a big process in wearing kimonos, like there's like usually two people that work on them with you, that dress you, and there's a lot of undergarments that go on, there's a lot of tying and things like that. So I had to tailor it because I thought, that's like no Western woman is going to take the time to do that.
Yeah, so that's a little involved.
Yeah, so I kind of like unpicked the bands on them and tailored that to make it more like a coat shape, silhouette, but kept the sleeves and kept the beautiful feel to it, and then just rematch them up with, my favorite thing to do is to put mismatched fabrics that actually go together, or mismatched colors. Like I really like that mismatchedness that works well in symmetry, or that aesthetically pleasing. I like doing things like that. So I started doing that with the kimonos, and then before I knew it, someone had contacted me because I put a few things online, and I didn't really know much about the internet then. I don't have to convince you of that being true, that I wasn't like, I'm not very computer savvy. So I found kind of like the internet. I was still living in Japan, and I put it out, and then I got approached by this shop in New York that asked me if they could put up some of my stuff on their online shop, which I'd never heard of before, an online shop. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know what it involved. And I said, what do you need from me? And they said, oh, we need photos of your work. So I went, oh, okay, I could do that. Honestly, I had no idea. So I just sent them off photos, and they just put them up in their shop, and if they sold them, they would let me know and I'd send them off. And then I got, and then another lady asked me if I would provide clothing for an after party that she was doing. And I said, sure, where is it at? And it was in Beverly Hills. And it was for the Billboard Music Awards after party. I had no idea. I didn't even go to it. I just sent the stuff over, like, sure. She said, are you coming? No, oh, no, I'm not coming. I've got a baby, like I have to do the markets on Saturday. So I had no idea the interest in these. And then from that came Fashion Week, and then I did the rounds in Fashion Week and things like that. But it all came to a halt. And I never really looked at it as a business. It was more of a hobby. Like, that's how
you were just going with the flow.
Yeah. All I did was follow every single opportunity that was put in front of me. I never researched anything.
That's amazing.
I didn't show up at anything. The only thing I showed up at was at Fashion Week. Because I was doing the closing for Fashion Week for their celebrities in Malaysia, and there was all these other celebrities there, and they put on this big dinner, and I'm sitting at the table with royalty. And I didn't know that you weren't allowed to talk to royalty until they spoke to you. So I'm sitting there telling them all about, like, and they're just sitting looking at me like, you're not supposed to be talking to me. Shh. I'm thinking, I had no idea. Honestly, I had no idea. I
love it. I just love it. I love it.
So then my mum got sick, and I moved back to Australia with my daughter, and I had all this stock, and I found myself an agent, and I found these two women who were really established in the industry, and they were kind of like Australia wide. And so I gave them all my stock, and they didn't even put it into a shop. They bought all the stock themselves. And then I don't even know what they did with it. They called a meeting and said, they called me into their studio and said, because I had corsets and I had neckties and I had kimono jackets and things like that. And they said, we've got a few shops in mind for you, but we really like your stuff and we'd really like to buy it ourselves. So, like our friends want to buy it. And so you said, okay, if we don't put it into boutiques and if we just buy it. And I didn't care, like I just wanted to sell it. I was just happy that someone liked what I was doing. That's how it wasn't that I wasn't ambitious. It was just that I had no idea the impact.
I think it is the way to be in life, because
it just took off.
You had no resistance.
Yeah.
So it was like you opened and you said to the universe, I'm yours. You just tell me where to go, and I'm just going to float.
And I'll just show up sometimes.
Yeah. And I love it, because look at all the different amazing opportunities. And I tell it to my clients all the time, let go and let God. And they think I'm religious when I say that, but they don't understand, because what I mean, God to me is omnipresence, and I'm very connected, and I'm not religious whatsoever. But what I mean by that is that you are a being that is connected to the universe. And when you try to control and resist, and you have a very clear idea of what you want, and you don't want it any other way than how you see it, you cut yourself off from those opportunities, because you're cutting off, you're making a resistance. You're like that rock in the river, right? The river is not going to stop at the rock. It's just going to move. It's going to keep moving.
Very true.
Rock. Whereas you just jumped in the boat and said, hey, I'm going.
And I didn't even consciously think that I was doing that. I just showed up whenever there was an opportunity. And now I'm not doing anything with it, because, like my mum got sick and things like that. And like I said, like these two ladies just bought my entire stock. I didn't even know where it ended up. Like I have no idea where it even is to this day. But hopefully they're wearing it somewhere, or, something. I don't know. But it seemed to go very easy. It was very, very easy for me to get ahead with it all. But, I guess, family comes first when things happen. And that's when my mum got really sick and I moved back to Australia, and I hadn't lived here for 13 years. And I had no friends left here, because I was very young when I left. I was just turned 24 when I left Australia, and I came back and I was like nearly 37. And I had a 2-year-old, completely different when I left this country. Yeah. So, and then my mum got sick, and she ended up she had breast cancer, and which ended up with her bowel perforating, and she had a colostomy bag, and then so they took her in to operate, and her lungs collapsed, and then she was in ICU for almost 2 weeks being kept alive on life support. So it was really stressful time. So then when her bag was only temporary, but it really played around with her self-esteem. My mum's very confident and self-opinion. Like when I say self-opinion, I don't mean in a bad way. I mean like she's a very opinionated, strong female. And my dad died when I was 17, and my mum had to, at 34, had to take on 2 teenagers and a business and do it all herself. And she did it, and that's kind of made her who she is. And then she got this sickness, and that's when she really needed to be strong. And with
it was probably hard for her to ask for help, because if she was self-sufficient like that for most of her life, it must have been.
We weren't even allowed to cry in front of her.
Yeah, I would think
like
so.
We were told straight up, there is no crying in front of me because I cannot comfort you. I need my energy for me.
I'm busy.
Cry at home. Pretty much, like I want to survive.
I'm trying to stay alive here.
Don't feel sorry for me. Just get out of my way so that I can deal with this. But she was very sick, and it was touch and go for a long time there. And then when she ended up with her bag, her self-esteem and self-confidence took a nosedive. Like completely different person to the person that had raised me. She wouldn't even look at herself in the mirror. And then one of us had to, before she could be released from ICU, one of us in the family had to learn how to look after her and to deal with her bag. And so that was me. I put my hand up. I volunteered. Now
you keep saying bag. It is a stoma, correct?
Yes. So the stoma is produced from her intestine. Okay. So she had an operation where her stomach was opened and the intestine was taken out. The bad part was cut and reconnected, kind of like when you tie a balloon after you blow it up. Yeah. And then that is put on the outside of the stomach so that it can heal, and a bag is attached to that, and then that becomes your working bowel. For some they have a dual bag, so 2 bags, so it becomes their bowel and their bladder, but for my mum it was her bowel. And so that was 6 months of that. She had, and it takes on a life of its own. It makes noises and it does all sorts of things. And my mum was in a mess. I've never ever seen her like that before. So I stepped up to. I wasn't her full-time carer because I had a child. My daughter had just started kindy at school, so she was like 4 when it was like right in the middle of all of this. And so I stepped up to do that, to look after her between school hours. And she also had a nurse that was coming in and things like that. But my mum's also, and it comes from my grandmother, like we're really private people. We don't ask for help, and we don't let people know a lot that's going on in our lives. We just kind of deal with it. So that was what my mum was doing with this bag. And she wouldn't even look at herself in the mirror. She didn't want to shower herself. She went from this completely independent, strong-minded person to being like this kind of
resistance.
She was like this speck of herself that didn't even resemble herself. And so then anyway, when she pulled through all of that, and it was a very long process, and there was a lot of rehabilitation and things like that, because she was in hospital for such a long time, dealing with her stuff, like just her mental state was, she had to be rehabilitated, had to work through all of that as well. So that's when I realized that what could I do to make her happy? So I started making underwear for her, like nice underwear that had like a pouch in it to put her bag. And
awesome.
So a machinist that I was working with, that was working on my kimonos for Fashion Week, I was still in contact with her. She was a genius, this lady. And so I got back in contact with her and I said, do you think you can help me out doing like some of this? And she said, yeah, of course I can. Like, I don't know anything about it. So she didn't know anything about stomas, so I had to educate her as well. So we kind of learned together, and we came up with a great prototype, and I sent it out to approach one of the hospitals, and they said, sure, we'll let you test it on our patients. So I gave it to all the ladies and all the men. The men weren't interested in underwear and things like that. So that was, that was fine. Yeah. But the ladies were, it worked from the inside, their self-esteem and their self-confidence. Mm-hmm. So then I thought, okay, well, I'm not just going to give them underwear. So then I started doing lingerie as well, lacy pieces and then crotchless pieces and bands and like all sorts of things. And then they would
that's an entrepreneur spirit right there.
Right. Well, once again, I didn't even think about it. I just did it. Like the opportunity presented itself. I just followed through, Seriously, working with you was the first time I've consciously really
decided,
planned and thought about, what with this blog, what I'm going to do.
But let's say though that because, and if people are wondering why we're talking about this right now, is that this is the basis. It's the story behind what you decided to take on as a business venture.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So after doing all of that, and then I actually, probably about a month before I signed on with you, I didn't close down the underwear. I put it on hold because my machinist retired, because she has family members that are quite ill, her daughter, and so she really wanted to become her full-time carer, which I totally understand. So I had to agree that we call it quits, I guess. I'm yet to find someone. I don't know, maybe I'll get back into it, but I think it kind of served its purpose because there's enough designers now doing amazing underwear. I haven't left them in the lurch with no product available. There are designers now that are doing amazing stuff with underwear for people with a stoma, and I think
you started things.
Well, there was no one in Australia doing it when I started. I did start that, yeah, but I don't think I started it. I think there were people overseas or globally doing it, but there's a lot more people doing it now, and they're doing fantastic work. So I don't feel so bad that I've kind of put that on hold now, but that's what led me into the blog, because what I realized was the underwear was I was doing it for a not myself, but women's self.
Give them some self-esteem and self-worth. Make them feel like a woman again.
Exactly. And because I realized the real hardship of self-esteem and self-confidence issues when you're a grown woman. It's hard enough when you're a 20-year-old, like my daughter's, that age now, and going through all those things that you go through with self-esteem and that. But when you're like a woman who's lived life, you shouldn't be having to deal with that because you suddenly find yourself in this predicament with this bag, so that's when I realized, okay, this can come back and bite any woman at any age, these self-esteem issues. And that's what really resonated with me more than the underwear. Like the underwear was like, okay, I feel that need to do that, and it made women feel nice about themselves and nice and all that. But I can take it one step further, and that's where this blog comes into it, where I can address all the stuff.
What do you want to do with
leads? What do I want to do with it?
What's the purpose behind this for you?
I would really like to know. I really like women to know that that it's okay to be how they are, and that this is for them first and foremost. And that sounds very simple, but really the foundation is that I just want women to feel good and better about themselves when they find themselves in
you want to build a community
situation.
A safe haven for them to be able to speak about what they're going through in a safe zone. Where they won't
ultimately that is the only thing that I want to do with this blog. Is I want women to feel inclusive, and I want them to feel safe, and I want them to feel heard, because if there's a woman out there that was living exactly like my mother did when she went through this, and their family is not strong enough to get them through that ripple effect on that entire family, it affects everybody. It really does. And mental health is a really life-changing thing when it's not dealt with properly. It can take you down a really dark path, and that's where it took my mother.
It's because there's a lot of shame, around mental health. Maybe not as much today as there was 15, 20 years ago, right? 15, 20 years ago, you didn't talk about it, period. Now, I think there's more openness about it. There's more welcoming about it, but there's still a lot of shame. And that's the sad part, because I think if everyone is honest, everyone's going to say, I've had a dark night of the soul.
Sure.
We all have. And it's not shameful to have it. It's shameful to keep it to yourself. It's shameful not to share, because the more we share about it and the more we're honest about it, the more we say, yeah, today is a tough day. It's a crappy day, and I feel like just rolling into a ball and watching, really sad, girly movies that will make me cry all day. I need a good cry. I don't feel good about myself. I feel like a fraud, like all these crazy, stupid things going through your head. If you say it out loud, it dissolves. If you keep it in and you just ruminate, that's when it can take over your life.
And
That's
it grows inside of you.
Absolutely.
You know, the worst state that my mum got was in hospital, and the nurse came and got me and pulled me aside and said, "I'm really, really concerned about your mum. Her room resembles a morgue. She has all the curtains drawn in her room. Her aircon is on freezing cold." And she said, "That proves to me that her mental state is very delicate at the moment, and very fragile, and we need to be super careful at this point in time." And she was right. She was absolutely right. You know, her mental health was so fragile that anything could have taken her down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even on my blog, in my About Me page, which I rewrote the other night, and I just got this overwhelming feeling to rewrite it from my heart, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Rather than practically writing it, like from a practical sense. And a lot of stuff came back up that that I had felt with her, because this is more of a feeling thing. This whole blog is a feeling, you know.
Well, I know that you want to build a business around it, but I keep telling you that what you're doing right now is you're building a community, and community, like, yes, you'll have affiliate marketing. Yes, you'll have sponsorship. Yes, you'll have all kinds of things, because it is a very niche market to have this. But at the beginning and the foundation of it is about you creating something authentic and a connection to the world for these women, or for who is going through this. Because I think that's what will make it successful, is that you become vulnerable, you become authentic and tell your story and say, yes, I didn't go through it, my mother went through, but it was hard for me in this way. So it only brings another level, because a lot of the times when we're sick, like I had 2 cancers and I went through it, and I was like your mom. It was like I was so focused on myself getting better, whatever. I did not notice around me that I was losing friends, that my families didn't know what to say. They were going through something too.
Yes.
But I was too busy trying to survive whatever I was going through.
But it's not your job also to look after your family when you're going through that.
I get that, but I think what I'm trying to say, and I'm not being really good with it, is that what you're building right now is not only a beautiful safe haven for the people going through it, but for also those other tiers of people that are connected to those people that don't know what to do with this when it happens, right? And those are the forgotten ones too, because everybody focuses on the person who's sick, but we forget how we are affected when we see a loved one go through something that we're helpless helping them through.
And that's why I had to rewrite my About Me page on my blog site, because I had totally forgotten about the people of that ripple effect, or that snowball effect, that get caught in it, in this situation or this journey, and how it emotionally affects you, and how scared you are because of the danger or the fear that this person that you care about is facing, and you actually can't do anything about it. So when I rewrote that the other night, and I wrote all of that, and I dedicated the blog to not only those women living with a stoma, but the carers and the family members that actually don't even know, the ones that are finding the small talk even awkward. And I even put that in there, like, I get it. Even the small talk with my mum was awkward because I didn't know what to say, because I'd never been through it.
Right? You're right. You don't want to say anything that's going to hurt them or trigger them. And you have like, you don't want to joke, because what I found when I was going through it, I had one friend who was just a mental case, and he would make me laugh like nonstop and bring me t-shirts that was super inappropriate. But I got his humor. I understood what he was trying to do. He was trying to make me laugh. He was trying to entertain me. He was trying to, he didn't want to talk about it because he didn't want to bring me back into it. And he was seeing everybody do that, like, planning funerals and stuff like that. And you're like, hey, I'm still here, can we wait till I'm like feet under? But he got it. He wasn't intimidated by the topic. He wasn't intimidated by what was going on. And he was really there, entertaining me and treating me like normal, right? Whereas when they go through that, the normalcy is missed. They miss having a normal day, talk about normal things, because everybody is so focused on, oh my God, I can't say this or I can't say that, or like you can't even say like, how are you today? Because you feel the person's going to say like, what do you think?
What do you think? Yeah. Right? Do you know what was really hard though? My mum didn't even want to talk to anybody, not even me. She just wanted me in the same room, but she didn't want to talk. She didn't want to be asked anything of her feelings or what she just didn't. And it wasn't that she was she was in some kind of denial, but she was in denial more of the bag, because immediately she felt like she was abnormal or not
handicapped.
Normal. And that
there's something wrong.
Her a lot. So she didn't even want to talk about anything. I just had to do my job of her bag and be there present with her. And if that meant, 6 hours of not talking, just being in the same room, then that's what we did.
Yeah.
It was me taking hair off her pillowcase, so that, because, she was going through radiation at the same time, taking hair off her pillowcase so she didn't see it when she put her head down on the pillow. It was like, I was trying to stay one step ahead of trying to, her to not notice how dark, how bad she was. But I just, it's a helpless situation.
Probably resisting. People resist their torment. I often say to people that are going through really rough times, the more you resist, the more pain you'll be in. The more you accept and move on. I know it sounds harsh and I know it sounds cold, but it's truthful. The minute that it's the same thing as fear. If you are constantly fearful and you're constantly, oh my God, 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 the fear just becomes more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you face that fear and go, you know what? Yeah, I'm scared, but I'm not going to let it have a hold of me. You
kind of have to walk with the fear, though, don't you?
Yes.
You can't drop the fear, because it's what's that word? It's capsulating. It kind of submerges you in it. You can't separate from it, but you have to walk through it. Even as a bystander, I had to walk through it, because I was scared. Like, I have to say, I was very scared at that time.
Absolutely.
I just had to walk through my fear and not let my mum know how scared I was, because she was scared enough as it was for both of us. So,
and Mary Ellen is saying that she has a situation with her husband currently. He had prostate cancer and it changed him so much. First of all, I'm so sorry for him, but on the bright side, he's here, so we're good, right? That's a positive.
And I hope that you're managing okay, Mary Ellen.
Yeah, exactly, because it is job. It's really difficult to be, especially with a spouse, because what happens is you lose them in their pain and in their suffering, and all you can do is sit next to them. And especially with men don't talk. Men don't like to speak about these things. They don't like to admit that they're scared. They don't like to admit that they're weak. They don't like to admit that they need. So it becomes a tough thing.
That was my mother too, though. That was my mother.
I was like that too, but what I would say to you, and I don't know what the relationship that you have, but what I would say to you is, if you do have a friendship with your husband, I would say to him, like, I get that you're scared. I get that, this experience has deeply changed who you thought you were going to be, or if you're scared or whatever. I'm not going to leave you. I'm here with you. We're in this together. Whatever happens, you are mine. I'm yours. Nothing's going to change that. And if you need to talk, I'm here. If you don't want to talk, I'm still going to be here.
Yeah.
Just let him know that, because they don't, there are heroes, there are pillars, and they want to continue doing that. But at the same time, they're human and they're going through something like that. And that's a scary, you see the big C word and everybody panics and,
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Yeah,
right? All
yeah.
of a sudden they're planning funerals and you're like, hey, wait a minute. But it's not like that anymore, people. So I think you have to take the fear away and just say, and again, if you live a good life and you have a good intent in life and you're a good person and you do all these great things, death is just part of life. We're not going to live to be 1,000 years old. I mean, every day we're dying, a little bit. I know we're going in the dark road here, but if the day we're born, we begin to die. So, right, it's just that the fact that we are living makes us think that it's just always going to be that way. But if you're not afraid of it and you live a good life and you live fully, which I always tell people, don't wait to do shit you want to do it, because you don't know if tomorrow is even going to be there. So I just think that we need to be grateful that we're here and we need to live the fullest life that we can, so that if it does happen, hey, everybody can say at your funeral, I had a good life. She did. She smiled. She had a good life. She lived a lot. We're all good. Everybody's good. We'll all meet each other back there anyway. So, you know what I mean?
It's very hard, though, to separate that when you're fighting in the fight for your life. And that's what I noticed. It's very mentally consuming when that person's fighting for their life and you're, as in me, in my situation back then, I was a bystander hoping, because I'm not religious either, but I suddenly started praying around, please give her enough fight in her system or in her mental capacity or in her heart that she can see, as scary as this is, that she can actually walk through this dark time. Because that's all you've got. All you've got is faith. And whether that's religious faith, whether that's self-belief, that's handing it over to the universe, or faith in that person that's doing that fight. Yeah. You as a bystander can't do anything. You just have to stand by and hope that they have the strength and the determination to get through it, and the mindset to pull them. It's
if you think of life a little bigger than just what we are, if you think of life as this great big connection of spirits, then you start seeing all of what we go through as not menial, but they're really small to what I always say, that we're like light bulbs, right? When the body's done, it's like the light bulb popped. You twist the light bulb, it doesn't mean the energy's not there anymore. The electricity is not there anymore, right? Yeah. You're going to put a new light and boom, the energy's back there. So I believe that we're all like that, is that we are just this body of energy. And then when that energy changes and the body is done, that energy moves to something else. But I don't think it disappears, and I don't think it's non-existent. And I have a faith in that. So if you believe in that, and you believe that we continue, and you believe that we're all connected into this energy, then it just becomes a little lighter. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. There you go. She says his diagnosis was the start of my self-reinventing.
Yeah, something you don't realize that you'll be doing, but it's true. It's very, very true, Mary Ellen. Yeah.
Because I think you start thinking that there's got to be more now. I'm right. You see somebody go through something like that, life becomes more precious to you, and you say, okay, wait a minute. I've been living as if I'm going to live to be 1,000 here, and I've been putting everybody else first. Maybe it's time I do something for me. Maybe it's time. And that's what you've done, right?
I think also the fact of your own mortality, when you see someone, like in my case, seeing my mum's mortality, seeing her face that, and then, and it's not the fact that you don't know, like how you explained, like we know that from the time we're born that, we're here for a limited time. You still know that. But I think when you're confronted with it, and you actually have to fight for it.
Yeah.
It
changes you.
It does. And even, like I say, once again, I'll use the word bystander, as in me or the audience standing back watching, because that's all I could do. It was seeing someone fighting for their mortality to stay alive was a reality check. And it was frightening. It was frightening, And I lost my dad when I was a teenager. He went out for dinner with my mum one night for a friend's birthday, and he never came home. He died at the restaurant. So I didn't even get closure on that.
Yeah.
And then I've got my mum fighting for her life. I'm like, you better fight, because
I need you. I'm not ready for that.
We're not ready for this, so you better get in there and fight. And I'll give you all my positivity and energy, but you're the only one that can do this. And
you also have to look at her, the way these are all transitions. I see them all as transitions. When we go through these really heavy learning periods, I call them, or dark nights of the soul, they're transitionary, and they're transformative. And your mom perhaps spent her whole life being in control of everything. And this was her succumbing to, I don't have control, and I must let go.
Yeah,
I must let go.
That's what was frightening for me too, realizing that she didn't have control, because I was so used to her having control over the outcome of everything, my whole life, and suddenly she had no control over the most important decision that she had to make in her life, was to fight for it, and she didn't have control over it.
Now let's kind of put a little rainbow here. Okay, how is she now?
Oh, how fantastic. Is she? Great. Yeah.
Right? How is her mental health now? How is she now? How's she doing?
Her mental health is a lot better.
Her
mental health is great. Right? She's great. No, she doesn't have the stoma anymore. It was reversed. Took 6 months for the reversal, but it was a long rehabilitation after that. So there's a lot that she had to go through. But in saying that, now that she's through it, and it's been like a decade that she's been through in remission, and and I mean this in the most sincere way, the person that she is now is probably more empathetic to,
I was just gonna say,
and that doesn't mean that she wasn't empathetic before, but it's a different kind.
She's connected. She's connected to something now.
Yeah.
Right? She feels like she feels connected. She feels like there's something. Maybe there was a void before, but now it's full.
Maybe something like that. Yeah, it's very hard to explain because I'm not the one feeling, but I have noticed it. Yeah, that there's this different sympathy or empatheticness that comes from her. That's
Now, with you doing this, starting this blog, what did your mom say about it? Because she's
a little bit wrapped in the fact that she's the center of attention here. I have to say, she's kind of been across the board with a lot of it.
I bet.
I don't think she's actually read it yet, though. I think that might be a little bit too confronting for her at the moment. I think she's she enjoys more the putting it together and the building of it, the construction of it.
Yeah.
But she has not sat down and read it, which leads me to believe that it's a little bit confronting for her.
Yeah. She doesn't want to go there. She's not ready to go there yet, but she probably will. She'll probably follow your journey, right? Let me ask you a couple of. We digressed. Sorry, guys. I mean, for those who were listening here to get some blogging tips, I'm sorry. I never know how these things are going to go, so I'm gonna. It's my fault probably, but I'm gonna go back to my little list here. So I'm going to ask you, can you share a specific moment or turning point during your time in the program, the membership, that really changed your perspective or approach to your business or doing your blogging? and made you feel like you were turning a major corner?
Yeah. The first, well, the kind of two things. The first one was trust, because I had never trusted someone to get me through business before, which we kind of talked about before when I was younger and things like that. I had never, so that this is a big thing for me, trusting the process. And it's not that I don't believe in the process, but I've never been one to follow a process. And suddenly now doing this blog, I realize that the process is important, and systems are there for a reason, because you do not fly by the seat of your pants like I have done through in my entire life. So when you have a process, so trust has been a massive thing. And the add-on to that is been asking for the help. I have never asked for help. I've always researched things and done things my way. I have kind of, not to say that I've never asked for advice on that in my life, but I've never been one to put myself out there to be vulnerable, to ask for advice or guidance. And I have to honestly say, your program has taught me that, and that has been the biggest take in my learning growth that I can take away from this, is that I now trust a lot better in the ability that someone knows what I'm talking about and can see my vision to help me get there.
Yeah.
And two, I have asked for the help, which I have never done before.
That's pretty awesome.
So I thank you for that. Yeah. Major, major self-growth for me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think that is part of the process of getting me as far along as I have in a short time. Well, I did kind of surrender to you.
You really did, because you were not resistant whatsoever. You've done the work. You have been extremely committed. You've showed up. You've done everything I asked, and you've followed your blueprint that I created for you. And now it's there. It's like, people can go, like, by the way, if you want to connect to Karen, or you want to see that beautiful blog she's created, it's on the ticker at the bottom of the screen. So go and have a look, go and have a follow. And I think there's a guide, or there's a meal planner on there that they can download for if somebody's going through this, because that's one thing I didn't know about that, is that there's things you should and shouldn't eat when you have a stoma.
Yeah. So there's things that play kind of havoc with your system too. So in that free download is a list of food items in segments of, what they will do or not do, or what you want to avoid, even if it's things like gas, or if it's bloating, or if it's, blockages, things like that, so that there's different lists of different foods that can potentially do that to you. I know everyone's body is different, but on the general consensus of people with a stoma, these kinds of tips that I've put together are across the board pretty much with everybody. And then there's a shopping plan there, if and a meal planner to which I think that a lot of women with a stoma would have to kind of plan their day around their eating habits and what they're actually eating things.
That's what I'm kind of really, really excited about with your blog, because it's going to turn into a place where people can get information, product vetting, like resources. For someone who is about to go and have this done, or is dealing with it, when you're going through something like that, you go to the hospital, they give you all these pamphlets that mean nothing, say nothing, and you're just left with more questions than anything else.
It's kind of information overload as well when you get all those pamphlets and brochures. And
absolutely, you don't know what to do with them, and all you want to do is find someone who's had it done and talk to them. So that's the beauty of these communities, and it's the importance and the worth, the value of these communities, is that it's a bunch of people going through this, and then you have this person who's providing you all these resources and providing you a place where you can come in and connect to other people going through that. So I think this is not just going to be a business, but it's really going to be a passionate, purposeful kind of venture for you.
I just want a check-in place for women to come to know that I don't have a stoma and never have, but I feel like I have firsthand knowledge. I'm privileged to know what I know
Yeah.
through from a bad situation, from a life-threatening
Yeah.
situation, and I just think that it would be a real disconcern to this public to serve us as a human being, to gatekeep or
Share
withhold
that.
that information. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and
And
that's
again,
that's what it is. That's what this whole blog is about. I just want to create a spot for people to come and check in, and it's relatable. It's
and again, you're
really
also
as simple as
talking
that.
for the people, for the bystanders that
Yeah,
are going through it, because
yeah,
like I said, like we've talked about, those are the forgotten ones, because we're
yeah.
talking about people that are right into it. But what
Mm,
about all the other people? Like, can we have conversations about, like, how do you approach someone who's going through that? What are certain things that we can do to help them without making them feel helpless,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
that touchy kind of minefield
Oh,
walking through it, right?
sure is. Yeah.
So I have here, what's the best book you've ever read that had a major impact on your entrepreneurial journey? And can you share some key takeaways from it?
So I had to think about this because I'm not. I don't read
Mhm,
as many books as I used to when I was younger. So, but when I do read books now, it's for a reason. They're purposeful. And the
mhm.
last book that I have read, and I don't even think that I finished it because I think I've put it down and I need to pick it back up again because I kind of do things like that too. They become like your life encyclopedia or something. And it's the book is I Am the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I had
Oh,
never
I
read
love that
any of
book.
his books. I had never read anything. I didn't know anything about
It's
him. My girlfriend
amazing.
put me onto it. Yeah, because I had a bit of a medical scare uh, 2 years ago, and I've still been dealing with it this year. And I got some good news this year, which is great. But she gave me that book and said, "Read this."
Yeah.
Didn't give me any explanation. And I know when she does things because I've known her my whole life, and she says to do things, I just do it without question. So because I know that she always has my back and best intention. So she sent it to me. She said, "Just read it." So I did. I read half of it. I put it down. I read the first quarter of it, put it down, picked it back up again, read the rest of it. Okay, yep, read half of it, put the book back down, and thought, okay, it's been probably 2 weeks or so. It's time for me to pick it back up again and to continue reading. But not only was it for me, for my health, I actually realized that it's a lifestyle. It's a, what is it? It's like a system to implement into your life that carries over into business as well. And I've been using it
Everywhere.
for this, yeah, but purposely for this, working with you and doing this blog, um, I have kind of implemented like well, I'm doing this, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm the one that's driving it, and I need to do it. Trial and error, make my mistakes, or but ultimately I'll come out on top because I'm driving it. And I took all this from this. I Am the Placebo, and I think
It's
that's what it's
funny that
called.
you say that,
Yeah.
because you're probably not even aware, but in
Yes.
in the membership, in the file share section,
Right.
all of his meditations are there, and so is
Oh,
the placebo one is there as well.
I have to go and check it out.
Because one of my members at one point, and that's huge to me, because that's how I got through cancer.
Mm,
Meditation and visualization.
yeah,
And to me, I've always been after that, it was like a given. There was not, like, I completely believe that we create our reality, everything about it, and that we can sit and recreate that
yeah,
reality
yeah,
however we want.
yeah,
And he has an exercise in there where he calls it, your perfect day. And it's like you sitting down and saying, okay, I'm getting up, I'm getting I'm making an espresso in my kitchen. My kitchen's beautiful. It's white. It's this, it's that. I can smell the coffee. I can see the ocean. Like you're painting this picture of your perfect day from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, and that entire picture, and then you read it in your phone or on an audio, and every morning and every night you imprint this into your subconscious. Well, at one point you will live in that house, you will live in that kitchen, you will be drinking that coffee. And that is not just visualization. If you check, you see this thing in the back here, all of these, this is kind of my vision board of my program and all the things that I wanted to create for it. Well, everything's done. The only thing left here is the podcast. So to me, I feel like Dispenza is all about the connection between the mind and the body.
Yes.
And sometimes when I not feel well, I will listen to one of his meditations. He has many meditations, and a lot of them are in there, so you go check them out.
I will.
But there's one that is all about healing your body. And I swear to God, if there is a portion of me, if there's a knot in me, if there's something happening, it'll pop during the meditation. I'll feel it. And all of a sudden I wake up from there and I feel rested and I feel strong. And it is very important to understand that your mind drives everything. So you could have, and if you can imagine, some people say, they're in victimhood and they're just locked into that space, and everything in life is difficult and everything in life sucks and everything is just dark and black, and right?
Yeah.
Same person in a different situation. Everything's good. Everything's awesome. No matter what I went through in my life, I would always be grateful. I always had a great a gratitude journal. I would always go, well, I'm grateful for this, and thank God for that, and thank this for that. And I always understood that it wasn't what was going on around me that I had to control, but what was going inside of me that I had to control. Because you'll never be able to control the outside. You'll never be able to control the people you love. You'll never be able to control what's going on in the world and the politics and all the crap that's happening. What you will be able to control is your how do you say that? Your reaction to it, right? Like when somebody comes up to you and tells you something nasty, you have a choice. You have a choice to take it, or you have the choice to put it back and say, I'm sorry, that's not mine. Move on.
Yeah.
And I think that we forget how powerful we are. And I don't say that with arrogance. I say that with certainty. True. Right? We forget how powerful we are.
Very, very true.
I think feels like you're frozen.
Yes, I just realized that too. You're frozen. I'm frozen.
Oh, is it the universe trying to tell us that we've gone too long?
I just checked my battery. My battery's full.
Okay.
I wonder what's going on there.
Well, I can still hear you, so we're gonna.
I can still hear you too. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully it'll come back. But I'm gonna, let's say here. Let me ask you a couple more questions. Okay. So we do the challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mary Ellen had to go. Thank you for letting me join. It was very informative. Awesome. I hope she had a good time. I hope everybody had a good time. Okay, so the last question. Well, not the last question. Give me another. I'm going to say, during the challenges, what was the most fun or enjoyable task for you, and why? Because we are doing all these challenges every month, and you just won in November. So what makes those challenges fun to do? What makes you want to say that again?
I said beating Adam.
Beating Adam. I love the competition that it creates. I love it.
Competition. The challenges. He's the sweetest boy.
Let me just
Adam,
take you.
He's so sweet and so lovely, and I mean that with the best intentions. Like, he's great competition. So I really wanted to do that. Maybe you let me win. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
maybe because I went
I
harped on
don't know.
about
I
it
don't
so
think he
much.
let you in.
The challenges are great though. They were a little bit overwhelming at first. That's why it took me a little while to get into them, because I was learning so much from scratch.
Yeah.
And that was also, as you know, learning how to use this computer that, I was given off my daughter's old one. Well, I'd never used an Apple Mac before, so I didn't really know, what I was doing. I'd only ever used computers at the library, whether those old-fashioned, big screen, the mouse and stuff. So it took me a long time to kind of learn, and no one taught me. Everyone's too busy to sit down and teach me how to use the computer. So I think it took me about 2 months to learn how to do copy and paste on here, but I finally worked it out. So now I know how to do all that. But the challenges, now that I'm kind of on top of this, the challenges now have become really beneficial in the fact that you've made them so they kind of correspond with where you're up to in business.
Yeah.
So not only, yes, are you doing this assignment to get done to hand in, you are also working out how it resonates with your business, or that you're up to that in your business, and then it kind of flows into that area as well.
Yeah, I like that.
Very, very handy like that. And I didn't realize that they were like that until I started doing them.
Well, they were by design. That's why I designed them like that, so that it would move at the same pace as you guys were kind of building your businesses as we go.
Yeah, very, very clever way to do it, because not only are you doing this assignment, which, it's usually only, 2 or 3 days of research and whatnot, putting things together. Sometimes it doesn't take that long. But I think the last one took me about 2 or 3 days to complete it. But when you do it and you kind of sink your teeth into it and get into it and do it, then you realize how you to use it in your own business. And that's something you have to learn anyway. So what a great way to learn how to do it is doing the weekly challenges.
Now it looks like, give me a minute here, because it looks like I'm frozen and you're frozen.
Yeah, I've got like a loading circle on my screen at the moment. I'm not too sure what's going on.
I wonder if it's let me see here. No, my internet's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, mine's fine too.
Maybe after
what's going on.
Whoopsie. Now you've disappeared and I've disappeared.
Oh no, I've still got everything.
Are you still there?
But we're frozen. Yeah, I've still got everything on the screen. It's just that it's frozen.
Okay, let me just remove you from the stage and I'll bring you back. Now I have are you there?
Yes.
Okay, well, maybe it's the universe telling us that we've gone on too far.
That we've talked way too much.
I know. I was supposed to keep it at 45 minutes, but you're so interesting that I couldn't.
Oh, thank you.
I couldn't. So thank you so much for being with us today. Congratulations again on winning the challenge for November. And we're going to be sharing, I'm going to cut this up and we're going to be sharing this on my blogs and my profile so that people can see your story and be inspired perhaps to, take the leap of faith for their own passions and follow their heart and try to monetize that and bring a little joy and happiness in their lives. So thank you so much for being such a great member, for being so committed to your dream. It's inspiring and I just love it.
Well, thank you for also, though, caring enough about us to put this program together, because I think that without someone like you actually being interested and caring enough to help others, we wouldn't be this far. I would have eventually done something myself, but I really doubt that I would have been this far along and this smoothly either. Like that's a no-brainer. I would not be this far along that I'm on and have the knowledge now that I have.
It's
So
exciting. I'm excited for
thank
you.
you for taking the time to do that.
Okay, Karen, thank you so much. Thanks you everyone for being here tonight. Hope that you enjoyed our little conversation. And we'll see if you win December's, and we'll have another one of these.
Well, I will have part 3 handed in probably by the weekend.
Good girl.
Yes.
Okay, take care. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for today.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so thank you guys for being here with us tonight. I hope you were inspired. I hope that you were inspired by her story. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit about how the program works. So again, my name is Claude. I am a monetization specialist. I help aspiring entrepreneurs or online entrepreneurs monetize a passion, skill, or expertise through a membership program that's called Passions to Profits. And in that program, you get weekly coaching, you get access to online courses, ebooks, tools, the challenges that I do every month that you can win. I give away some prizes. It's a monthly challenge, but it's a weekly submitting of homework and stuff like that. So what it does, it creates a little bit of a competition among my members, and also it helps them put into practice what I'm teaching. And it helps them absorb the information that I'm teaching them in a fun way, because as you can see, they're all competing against each other, and it's pretty cool. So, and also the weekly coaching, what I do is, because I'm a little different, because in terms of how I coach, I don't have a specific course. I have multiple courses that people can take and people can learn from. But what I do for every member is that as soon as they become a member, I give them a questionnaire. They fill out the questionnaire. That gives me a good idea of what they want to do, what they want to monetize, what kind of skills they have. Then I come back to them and I say, okay, well, here's the business ideas that I think that might suit your skills, your passions, your desires, your expertise. And then they pick something. And then what I do is I create a blueprint for them, a roadmap, a weekly thing that they're going to move through. It's very kind of detailed. It kind of gives them clarity about what they want to do and what they want to build, how they're going to build it. And then every week, they're going to show up at the weekly coaching sessions. And every person that is a member of mine gets to say, okay, well, here I am. I've done this, like you asked me. And then I tell them, okay, so next week, you have to have this and this done. Just focus on that. So by giving them micro focuses, what I'm doing is I'm helping them get along. I'm helping them get to every week accomplishing something inside their personalized, customized roadmap. So that at the end of those 52 weeks, and usually it takes 5 to 6, 7 months to get from ideation to complete execution and launch of their business. But it's a real business. It's not, they're not selling other people's products, or they're building a sustainable business for themselves based on their passions and skills and expertise. So that's what I do, and that's how I do it. If it's something that is interesting to you, please visit my website. All the information is somewhere in the description. I'm sure you'll find it. You can join the program. Some of the courses are available as do-it-yourself without coaching, but I think the coaching is valuable because, as you can see, I'm coaching different people in different projects, different careers, different businesses that they want to open. So it isn't a cookie cutter program. It's basically based on you. So it's customized and personalized for you specifically. So this way, you're able to bring your dream to reality. And I have the privilege and the blessing to be part of that with you and to be coaching and supporting you along. Inside the membership as well, you have a chat line that looks kind of like Messenger, and you have a one-on-one chat with me. So if you're working on something and you're stuck, I'm only, a chat away. You can go into the app, chat with me on the app and say, Claude, I'm stuck here. What do I do? And then I'm usually there from certain time to certain time every day. And I can, walk you through what you need to do. So if you enjoyed this and if it's something that you are interested in, please join my community and visit my website, become a member, and start living your dream. Start building your roadmap to your dream and make 2024 the best one yet. So have a great night, guys, and thank you for being here. And hopefully we'll have another one of these next month when I have another winner to another interview with a passionpreneur. It might be Karen again, or it might be Adam, or it might be Mary Louise, or it might be Marek, or it might be Robbie, it might be anybody else in my membership. So it's exciting, it's fun, it's purposeful, and I love it. So take care, everybody, and see you soon.